Hi everyone, this is the VBL Season 10 VGC Draft League. I've got several of the older, elder, wiser in some cases, coaches of the league, and we're going to be talking about the teams we just drafted. We are looking at the Earth Conference. We've got 16 teams, and we'll be looking at these, 8 in this video, 8 in the next. We've got incredible teams here. One note on the format is we are in Regulation D. They just dropped 100 new Pokemon, including many of the best Pokemon ever. Here you go. The format is big. It is full of good Pokemon, and we also, as a drafting strategy, we made a lot of the more niche Pokemon a lot cheaper so that people wouldn't just spam top tiers like they have been doing the past couple of seasons. So teams are full of good Pokemon. The power level is high. Teams that are like the best according to last season are going to be like below average according to this season. So everyone will have good tools, so don't fret if we rate you low here. Who do we got on the line? To my left is Colby. What's up, Colby?
All right. Hi, I am Colby. I am Code Dameron. I am the coach of the Boca Raton Bellibolts, and I am hyped for this season. I am hyped for big, scary mons, but I'm also hyped for low tiers. I'm hyped for that mon cost 5 points, and he's the star of this match. Yeah, I'm about it.
Well, I'll go next. I am Daddy. My friends call me Daddy for some reason. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Jordan. I am super hyped for this season. This is probably the third or fourth season in a row where every coach and every team looks so good that I don't know if I'm going to go 7-0 or 0-7. I genuinely have no idea. So I'm really excited to dig into these teams.
We're digging into your team this time. I covered up your Starly, but rest assured, it is here.
It's not. Might as well not.
What's up? I'm here. We got poppin'. That's me. I'm happy to see all these new mods. Happy to be here with you guys. This is always my favorite part of the season. I'm ready to look at these teams and these crazy combos that we haven't been able to draft before, and particularly excited to look at some of these Hisuian mods. I didn't get to draft any of them. I wanted to, but I didn't get the chance because everyone else had the same idea. So I'm excited to see all these new mods in this crazy terrestrialized world we live in now.
Super.
You got none of them?
None of them.
I took them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy and I were hoarding them up.
Oh, you got 3, Daddy, yeah.
I have 4 of them on my team, but I'm Sukaba, coach of Grandma's Toe Kisses. I'm the guy that's been stealing all your Hisui mons. So, I'm really excited to see how some of these perform. We've got some really unique typings, unique abilities, unique moves they get. A lot of these mons have new moves that we've never seen before, so I'm just excited to see how they stack up with all the other powerful mons in the format.
Yeah, what's up? It's Goose. The guy that Tsukaba robbed from getting Typhlosion Hisui. As he drafted it in round 2 like a maniac.
Hey.
But hey, that's besides the point. That's just smart drafting. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is always, everyone's excited for the draft, SDN, all that good stuff. But this is our SDN post-draft, we're looking forward to this. So that's what I'm here for. But I think we got Bohm on the mic next.
Yeah, Bohm, coach of the Grove City Gigaliths. Probably going to change that name here soon. I haven't had any luck with it. So, yeah, I'm just excited for the season, see what we can really get into. I think this is going to be a very interesting season. We have a bunch of weird teams, kind of weird combos, and I'm excited to see what we can do with them.
Dope. Yeah, my first season in the VBL was 2 years ago. It was under a different team name. As soon as it did poorly, like most people do in their first season in the VBL, dropped it immediately for a new name. So, yep. What team? I haven't heard of it. So, our first team on the docket is Canner and the Grafton Gengars. Who's giving an intro? We got Special Attacking Madness. What's up, Poppin'?
That's me. So, I love this team. I feel a special connection with it because I have Chiyu in the other conference, so this is very near and dear to my heart. And Casey had a lot of the same kind of ideas that I was kind of thinking of. When you have a mon like Chiyu, you obviously want to pair it with brutal special attackers, things to help keep it alive as long as possible, things to make sure it gets to go first, because 100 speed is pretty good, but it's not super good. Most teams will have something faster than that, so I think Casey did a pretty good job here of pairing a bunch of good support mons with Chiyu that I think will hopefully hopefully take them far this season. And special shouts out to Strudel, Jordan's favorite low tier mon, a great user of Jordan's favorite move. So I think Strudel here and to a lesser extent Bronzer are good value picks. I think this is a pretty solid team. What do you guys think?
Pachirisu feels a little weird to me. Like, Follow Me is always good, but there's no electric weaknesses on this team, and no, we're not counting Finion.
Patchy is value just because it's always going to work. Unless there's a Barraskewda or like something that ignores redirection, then Patchy is a guaranteed. If you're on Rage Powder, which is most of the format, then you click it and you're like, I really hope that there's no Goggles or Terra Grass coming. With Patchy, you're guaranteed, and it really protects your Flutter Mane or Chiyu in a real way.
Is it still just 3 Follow Me in the format? Just Mouseholes and Indeedee and Patchy? Yeah. So, like, it is weird that it is, like, there's no electric weaknesses. That said, it makes Terra Water pretty free here. Because nobody's bringing grass or electric into this team for the most part. And premium redirection is really good, as Poppy said, with Chiyu. This is my favorite team that Canner has ever drafted. I've had a similar critique of some of his latest efforts that they're like full of beefy attackers, but they're not enough support or not enough speed. But this team is like, now it's all, instead of physical dominant, it's special dominant, but they have really good protection for some of these key pieces. A lot of speed through the Tailwind and the Flutter Mane, good redirection, good intimidate. Like, Canner's really prized some good supportive pieces, and he got just as beefy, great attackers as he usually does. So I'm really pretty optimistic about this one.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention, I think I said this was Casey's team. If I did, I was wrong. It's Canner's team. Yeah. But one thing that is a bit concerning is if you do want to pair Pachirisu with Chiyu, that's just easy Earthquake bait. But I feel like if you see a Pachirisu Chiyu, you probably assume Chiyu is going to terrestrialize like 100% of the time in that situation. But he does a good job with the rest of this team and kind of preventing the Earthquake bait, right? You have Landorus, you have Noivern, and you could also even bring the Grookey to just straight up cut that damage in half and get residual healing. And nobody's even mentioned Flutterman yet. That thing is a fucking monster. It goes on every single team. The best speed control maybe in the format. Booster energy, Icy Wind, you're done. Chiyu breaks the sash. Chiyu heat waves you. You've lost 2 mons on the first turn.
Yeah, I will say this team seems to have a Trick Room weakness as far as they don't really have any mons that like to operate on Trick Room. The Bronzer can, be bulky under Trick Room with an EVLite, but it's not really doing much. You have the Strudel, you could threaten to Encore any Trick Room setters, but honestly, his best Trick Room defense may just be eliminating the Trick Room setter with Chiyu. Most
it's
Trick
also
Room setters
Lucario.
are Psychic type, so he has stab boosted dark type attacks from Chiyu. He'll have to watch out for those Terras because teams are going to want to bring Trick Room. He doesn't have a ton of priority either, but he has
Lucario is a priority monster. You can just run that thing with the life
only
orb.
one though, and it's not that good.
I think the Strudels last season showed us how easily you can mess with Trick Room setups with Encore and also with Copycat.
For sure. So he'll just have to play around that carefully because I think he's going to be seeing a lot of Trick Room against this team. It's really fast.
There's no doubt. It's really fast and it doesn't have a slow Trick Room deterrent. But apart from that, is there any other, easy ways through this team? I guess you try to Icy Wind because you're also beating Lando and Noivern for free while you're Icy Winding.
There's no physical attackers, yeah.
No, yeah, it's all special. I mean, Lucario, but...
And Landorus.
Landorus does pretty good physical.
Yeah.
Landorus does not come into this set with a physical moveset. No chance.
Sure it does.
When you don't have other physical options, you're just going to do it,
Right.
Sandforce?
Yeah. Right.
I'd also say that it's his team runs on the frail side as well. Like if he's not able to control the game and people are able to weather the storm of his damage, they're going to get Okos back. Fluttermane and Chiyu are very susceptible to dying from a physical attack, depending on what it is.
Then if you're
on the physical side, especially.
If you're looking at his team in general, HP and defense are a big issue. And there's a lot of good physical attackers in this format, I feel like. Like every
see a
team.
lot of Intimidate, Weird Ear, and Leads to protect this team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep, Weird Ear is going to be a big
like
player.
To see more fake out or something else that's like good at dodging moves, like a ghost type. Oh, we got Fluttermane. We
Yeah.
some things. But yeah,
He's
this
always
is
a
a good
ghost.
team that's going to run fast and wild, and sometimes get trampled under Trick Room, and sometimes get trampled by a team that manages to be faster. But we're going to end up lowering it as we see that everyone else's team here. I wanted to put Canner in the A tier. I've always ended up with him in the B tier or his teams, but we'll see. Right now, I'm at the top of B.
Yeah,
I think there's a
here.
trade that throws this into an A tier. I think there's plenty of juice on the board, like trading out the Weird Ear for a Breloom or some other dimension of the team. I'm going to say the word Breloom a lot because I'm a big Breloom believer and no one picks it. But there's a lot of there's a lot of mid tier mons that could just shift. Maybe you trade right before a particular matchup, and
Right.
And maybe you take this team that looks like it's 8.5 mons and turn it into a full team with a trade. You have 11 mons because you trade at the right time.
I second the Breloom edition because you can spore Trick Room setters, and then you have the priority option, and then it can function in Trick Room. That would be pretty cool. All right, Colby, you're in the league now. You're not a newcomer. We already know you're good. We already know you're hardworking, and we already know that you like to debate. So you ready for me to be super critical about your team?
Oh, I'm going to mute.
Okay, he's ready. And I did see your draft review, and so I like the thinking. So starting off, we have Lando T. Lando T got a big glow up. Like, it got a single target ground move that had been missing for 5 generations. It's Stomach Tantrum now, and it's already a fundamentally pretty excellent Pokemon. Attack, defense, intimidate, typing, etc. Oh crap, did I just show my week 1 makings of a plan?
We'll cut that out.
Yeah, we let him post. And then, all right, so I had some notes on this. All right, fucking hella notes. Okay. So the team appears to be built around Lando T and Urshifu. 2 incredible Pokemon. We have great protection for them. They both have Swords Dance now, and so Amoonguss protects them, and they get a Swords Dance, and then they win. Inteleon with protection can win. Rotom's got lots of support, so we have lots of bulk, lots of supportive pieces. But my concerns are a couple fold. Speed is a big one here. Like you adjusted from last season where your team was too slow, but you adjusted to the level the format adjusted, not more. People are bringing fast Speed Booster Paradox Mons. They're bringing Chlorophyll. They're bringing Swift Swim. They're bringing Unburden. We don't see any of that, and we have the Flesh Endure, which is a huge help. But the times when you're not relying on Fletch Endure, it's Mesprit's a value Trick Room setter, but not great. Amoonguss is plenty of Trick Room deterrent. I would have loved to see a couple of fast attackers. When I ran Inteleon, every time I clicked Icy Wind, I died a little bit inside because it's not clicking Snipe Shot or the things that it's actually meant to be doing. So I want more fast Mon so that Inteleon isn't stuck clicking Icy Wind. And the other is Terragrass. Terragrass is still a problem here. Amoonguss can be good. I believe in it just like you do, but it's going to single-handedly attract lots of Terragrasses, and the rest of your team needs to be built to punish that. And Lando T is a flying type without flying moves. That's not good. And grass resist Earthquake for free. Rotom gets to delete 1 grass type or steel type, but then it becomes useless. So your Overheat is not terribly flexible. Inteleon wants to be clicking Snipe Shot, not Ice Beam. We do have ice coverage, but this team, I feel like we're going to get beat up by Terragrass a fair amount of the time. That said, we have bulk, we have tools, and we have a couple of excellent attackers, so I think we're going to be pretty good. You definitely have the tools to make this work. I open up the floor.
I would like to see another special attacking threat on this team, especially with the sort of lack of speed control options. Inteleon, like you said, is probably going to be clicking Icy Wind a lot, I think, maybe. It's sort of like a glass cannon, so you don't always want to run that. It's nice to have the option occasionally. But other than Inteleon, it's looking like 105 is the highest special attack stat we have here, so a little more punch. On the special side, I think would be a little beneficial here.
I was definitely eyeing all of my 105s and just like, where's my big special nuke?
I think Articuno is actually a pretty nice late addition to this team. Anything with Freeze Dry makes any matchup a lot easier because Freeze Dry is a busted, stupid move. You can tear her out of a bad type, and with its natural bulk, Articuno with the water type never dies. It's such a strong mon. It still has reliable healing. So if you're able to support it with some kind of speed control, something to break through big thick mons like Urshifu can or even Lando can, I think I don't know. I think it can do a pretty good job with just the mons it has.
I definitely was plagued last season by Terra Grasses, and I did what I could to draft a lot of Terra Grass hate. So if you're going to Terra Grass, most of these mons have some sort of move that punishes a grass type, especially the Blizzard mode. Urshifu will even run Poison Jab sometimes. I don't know what I think about this Urshifu. I think there's a world where I cash that big check and I turn it into some other mon.
I currently believe in the Urshifu, and also me saying that the team's still weak to Terra Grass implies like I don't respect all the ice coverage, but if you do, then that's definitely an answer. And so just have to see if Articuno performs.
I've done. I was doing some practice matches with Pancakes, and I was doing Assault Vest, Bolt Beam, Mesprit with Blizzard, and then Terra Ice to get the AV Terra Ice boost. It was doing stuff. I don't know. There's silly things on this team, and I'm gonna play with it before I make any major changes.
Cool. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have one more thought just about I think you can get around having middling speed tiers and not anything to enable. Like, I know Fletchender is obviously going to be putting a lot of work here, but when you have bulky mons, and you also have to remember you have redirection on Amoonguss, you have the Urshifu gets sucker punch, like you have some priority moves and supportive options that can definitely allow you to play around the lack of speed. Not to mention Intimidate support on Lando really helps your bulky mons out. So I think piloted correctly, this team can do just fine even in spite of more middling speed tiers without a great way to enable it.
I don't like the fact that Fletchender is going to put in a lot of work here, though, because I know that people say like, "Oh, Fletchender is good," and it is for the point value, but it's not a bring every week type of mon. In my opinion,
Fletchender puts in its work in prep. I don't have to bring Fletchender, and I'll just bring Thunder Waves on Rotom and Mesprit. I'll bring Icy Winds on Inteleon and Articuno. I'll bring Articuno with Tailwind. But the fact that I have Fletchender means that you have to be bringing Freak Out against me. You have to be expecting the Covert Cloak on the Fletchender. And then I'll put Covert Cloak on the Urshifu, and suddenly you get blown out. These are my plans, where Fletchender is the thing that you have to prep for, but may not be the focus.
It's a good point. But you and I talked about Fungus in the same light last season, which I would agree with that.
Good points. Yeah, and this team is beyond playable. You got plenty to work with. I think you'll see if when they really hammer the weak points, if you can play around it, and I think you can. So this team, I think, is in a similar spot to Canners, where we had a couple of issues, but we liked a lot. I think I'm going to put it just below Canners. So,
you could put it just above Canners.
Well,
I mean, it's about the same.
Everybody's going to drop their.
I'll do you one better. I'm putting this team in A tier. I'm a big Amoonguss believer. I'm a big Urshifu believer, and I think this team is really solidly built. And it's not super flashy. The big flashy thing I see here is Urshifu, because Wicked Blow is crazy, Unseen Fist is crazier, but this is a super solid team, and I think you're going to do well with it. A tier.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.
Nicely done, Kobe. Who wants to talk? Mallorca Mawiles, coached by Jay Ballister.
This is me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm consulting my notes right now. Okay, I don't have any. All right. So, Annihilate. I'm not the biggest Annihilate fan. I know that prior to Scarlet Violet coming out, a lot of people were super hyped on this mon, and it looks really amazing on paper. I think in practice, it's not quite as good. Being able to run that Scarf Final Gambit is really nice, but then you're trading your 20-point mon for, a potential switch into a Starly or something, which nobody's going to like to see that. However, paired with Klefki, I think Klefki is a really nice addition to this team. So the ability to set screens and make things like Moltres and Annihilate even bulkier. Mudsdale is that Pokemon that we talk about every season. It's just so consistently good. I think Poppin said in our last PRs that he thinks it's the best mon on the board, like in terms of value, right?
Always is, and every season.
And I'm sure that it's
really
something that we all looked at this season, but you gotta kind of have the right team for it. So you want to be able to switch it in and get those stamina boosts, right? Or you maybe you just run it with Inner Focus and the Choice Band. So there's a lot of options there. Iron Bundle, really fast, hits really hard. I think this team has a lot of offensive options that are going to be able to survive because of that Klefki. Electrode Hisui probably went a little early, in my opinion. It's a pretty decent support mon. Blazing speed, which is really good. So for 6 points, I think that's a really solid mon. So
That was 6 points.
yeah, that's a lot of speed for 6 points.
That's a lot of bullet seed into Annihilate and Mudsdale for 6 points, is what that is.
Great points, Daddy. Klefki huge on this team for protecting these mons. I think my Annihilate team didn't do as well as expected because I lacked a premium screen setter, which is the best way for Annihilate to take hits. But look, we got huge special bulk here, huge physical bulk here. We got bulk, but also we got everything. Like, this team is all over the place. I think it's pretty weird, but I think I really like that. I also drafted a weird team, which we'll see in the other video. But like, this team's very, very, very fast. But like, Mudsdale is just doing fine in Trick Room. This team like can imprison Trick Room, but it also can like bulk out and not care about speed. So it's like, it's super fast, but it's also got plenty of bulk. It will find ways to do offense, like Delphox and Iron Bundle and Annihilate can get going and be really strong. So like, I don't know what to make of this. I think, we're going to target some of the typing weaknesses, which are not great, but like, I don't know how to beat this team. I think this team is going to be really tricky to beat in prep.
Yeah.
I think you like almost have to set Trick Room against this team because 94 average is like the highest average for speed I've ever seen on a squad of 11. When I see that number, I'm like, I'm setting Trick Room every time. Even with Mudsdale, you're gonna have to find a way around dealing with it, just because every other mon is gonna outspeed you. And Iron Bundle.
Yeah, but one of that mon's Cyclosaur.
That's true, but Iron Bundle can just booster and then Icy Wind you to death, and like you'll never get the speed up on your opponent.
I feel really bad for whoever has to week 1 prep against this guy.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, yeah, before you even see how they're going to use this team, it's even more chaotic. But that's it. Pro tip: drop Cyclosaur.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Honestly, you can go, Kobe. Go ahead.
I just want to know, like, what is the centerpiece of this team? Because it really does look like it has a lot of like all-star Pokemon. Like Iron Bundle just is a star, but also Annihilate and Moltres. You can Final Gambit and Annihilate, or you can Rage Fist and just have him be the focus of the whole team. And Klefki, I think Electrode is like a good B support, but Klefki's a really good A support.
I think Klefki is the central mon of this team. It enables everything.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about how Trick Room is really good against this team, but you set Trick Room, you have Annihilate bulk up behind a Reflect turn 1, and all of a sudden that thing is living through the Trick Room. And as you hit it and struggle to deal with it, it's getting stronger and stronger. You have Mudsdale as a switch in. They set a Trick Room, you bring in the Mudsdale in the back. Like, Mudsdale's good outside of Trick Room as well, especially when you put screens behind it. Like, he has 2 mons that really take advantage of those screens. And even the Moltres Galar has the bulk to operate as speed control alongside a screen mode while also being offensive, because it has a really good special attack set and it has a double target dark move as well, and it can bulk out behind those screens while being active. So I think that Klefki is the key here, and I believe the key, get it? Hey, zinger. But I mean, I'm a Klefki fanboy, so maybe I'm just biased, but this thing can carry, no doubt.
There's no really, sorry, Poppin, there's no really great tailwind setter on this team either, so it is blazing fast, but
Moltres.
I mean,
Iron Bundle,
but it's, what is it, 90 speed?
Basically tailwind, if you squint hard
I'm
enough.
surprised Moltres Galar doesn't get tailwind, actually. I thought it did.
It doesn't?
It does now. It does now.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But 90 speed on a tailwind
it's
is...
an
but
kill. I think the Klefki T-Wave and under Iron Bundle Icy Winds are the main things here.
I was going to be a hater at first when I was looking at this team. I mean, look at the type charts. There's lots of red, but looking at it, Annihilate, Klefki, Moltres, plus either Iron Bundle or Mudsdale pretty much come to every single game, right?
Yeah.
You have Mudsdale there if you think they're going to try to out Trick Room you. If they're not going to try that, they're going to try to out fast you. You bring Bundle, Booster, Icy Wind. And between Klefki setting the screens, Annihilate and Moltres are both such like unmoved when like they're coming eventually. They'll get you. They do so much damage. Annihilate never dies. Moltres flinches, like just flinches your team to death with better Rock Slide. I was a hater at first, but I'm starting to like this. And we haven't even talked about the back 6 of this draft. They're a back 6, but like Delphox and Toxic are pretty good.
Yeah,
Delphox is a real mon.
Yeah,
it's a wide
Masquerade could come to maybe one game.
I think
Can you
I'm
guys
gonna
tell
be
me
the
about
most
Delphox?
optimistic about this team, so it's going to be the top among the three we've rated so far.
I agree.
I'll hear your other opinions.
This is A tier for me.
What does Delphox do? I'm sorry, just real quick, because I genuinely don't know.
It's overheat.
Magician.
Overheat and
Magician's
psychic type
weird.
moveset on Amon with firepower as well.
Boom, what does Magician do?
It
also
steals
steals your
the
item.
opponent's item.
Yeah, you do overheat white herb and
That's pretty cool. Okay.
Wait, does that work? That's kind of
It's interesting. And I mean, the other thing I want to look at is Electrode Husu. Why do you draft him so early? There's got to be something that we're overlooking.
Look at the board. Like, there's so many 19, 20, 18 point Pokemon that went undrafted. Like, you got value in this draft by taking really good value picks early and picking up your high tiers later. So, like, people that it's not even a bad strategy to take like a 6-pointer in round 4. Like, that's not even that early. But
there is plenty of opportunity to fix up teams because there's there's 500 mons in the format and plenty are still available.
Really good point.
I think this team can get better, but I'm really like just how wild it is, and so I'm going to be maybe unnecessarily optimistic about this team. Good job, Jay.
Love
So, New York Ninetales, we all signed up to intro some of these teams, and this is the other one I've got. I'm going to do a love letter to this team. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It also was incidentally my draft plan, as in if I didn't get Ting-Lu, I was going to draft Grimmsnarl, Spectrier, Lando I over Mousehold, and then Quack. So Sam independently came up with a very similar draft plan, and we talked it out, so I understand his thinking here. But Grimmsnarl performs like a top tier every single damn season. Spectrier should be the best abuser of Terra Blast in the entire game because it needs coverage. Shadow Ball hits 85% of Mons, but the other 15% are being hit with Terra Blast, and it is a Mon with amazing stats, automatic scaling, the ability to set up, and Grimmsnarl covers for its Ghost and Dark weaknesses perfectly. The fighting weakness, or we use fighting to beat the dark types too, and to beat the normal types. Mousehold is premium support and premium damage. Just these 4, a literal 4-person team that you already know these 4 are coming, are going to be very hard to beat because one missed turn against them and they scale out of control, or they just OHKO you with Pop Bomb. So it's like very, very tough, but I also like the late picks here. A Trick Room setter, a Tailwind setter, a Calm Mind booster, a Deterrer of Snarls and Intimidates, all in one. Articuno Galar should have its best season yet post Dynamax. Caparajah is situationally very good, and that situation is Trick Room. Electros very good in Trick Room, and also just very good all of the time. Goose and I had Electros last season. We both loved it. And I even like some of these low tier picks. Mudbray was great last season. Slowpoke is taunt immune, super bulky Trick Room, so we can get Trick Room whenever we want, and then Caparajah starts bashing his head into things. And even Karkle has a place. This team has top tier offense, a lot of speed, and maybe not a ton of speed, but it has the Grimmsnarl, so we always can do whatever we want, and we scale out of control if you make one mistake or just don't predict the terror correctly, and then Quackleval gets Moxie and then beats you. The team is crazy strong, very optimistic. I would welcome disagreement to this or just nuance to my emphatic support of the team.
yeah, one of the best things when you have a premium screen setter is to get scaling Pokemon, and he got 2 of the best, Quackleval and Spectrier. Quackleval is an animal behind screens. It lives the first hit, it Aqua Steps, and then all of a sudden it's +1, and then it gets a Moxie boost, and it's off to the races. And Spectrier is a similar way. It already has that speed tier you want. You get it to bulk up behind a screen with already good defenses. You take some KOs, you get Grimnay boosts, and all of a sudden you're off to the races. So, not to mention, this team doesn't need screens to operate. It's not like a pure bulky offense team. You are right on the money. He's got a great Trick Room mode. He has awesome supportive piece in Mousehold. Perfect for allowing Spectrier to set up. Can deflect any Shadow Balls into it with its Ghost immunity, normal type. And it could also run an offensive set. Grimmsnarl can be offensive. You don't know what to expect when you're playing against this team. So I love it.
I think I've got a dissenting opinion.
Go for it.
The first of many.
We need those.
The first of so this team lacks coverage in a big way.
Ooh.
I think that what did I value when I drafted Mons? Not only offensive, defensive type chart, but also like where's my offense? I really valued ice types and rock types because to hit all the flying types. And here I don't see a really great rock slider. Like Electros, yeah, it has electric moves, but its attacks are 115 is fine, 105 is fine. But I think that this team is hitting for neutral a lot and is going to get got by defensive terror, don't get the kill, and then don't die in return because you set screens. But I think that this team's plan needs to be hit neutrally all the time. And when you're hitting neutrally, you're not taking KOs, you're taking 2-hit KOs. And with 2 Moxie Mons, with the Spectrier and the Quaquaval, or 2-hit KOs what you want, maybe it's fine. Mousehold's a perfect example of this. Mousehold will hit you with Pop Bomb with the wide lens and will kill you. And it's hard to resist that hit. But that's what this whole team is doing. It's hitting you neutrally and probably killing you maybe sometimes after 2 hits.
No, I mean, that's something I totally missed, that most of these Mons are hitting with a couple of particular moves. Sam really focused on getting, like, the basic package to be unresistible. Ghost plus fighting, Ghost plus Grimmsnarl snaps. Like, those specific packages are unresisted. That said, sometimes you really want super effective coverage that this team won't have. I mean, we have
if you had drafted it
and whatnot, but
if you had drafted it with the Lando, that's the coverage piece that I think that I would be looking for on this team. The Lando eye, with the ground, with the sludge bombs, with the psychic, not the psychics. Landorus has coverage moves, I think, right?
Did you know Eel has a good, not just any, attacking move of 16 different types? Literally only Ice and Fairy it doesn't have.
That's Terra Blast.
Any other weaknesses? Because
I think there's a lot of Mons on this team that are very situational. I find that in my prep. I mean, the speed tiers are really nice. Like, if you take a look at that, there's really fast, there's really slow. The Trick Room mode is a little bit less scary. Caparaja is pretty scary in Trick Room. But a lot of these Mons need certain things to go right to win the match. And I feel like when you have all these different niche Mons and you try to put them together, and you have this immaculate plan that you think there's no way this could fail, and then your opponent just brings something that you didn't expect, things can fall apart kind of quickly. So that's kind of one of the weaknesses that I've noticed with the team.
I feel like Grimmsnarl and Mousehold are 2 of the best mods just to make shit happen. I am absolutely in love with this team. I was looking to do Spectrier plus other stuff, but I got carried away. I was looking at Quaquaval really hard and went other ways, but the top 4 are incredible. The next 3 are amazing value, and the bottom of the draft is pretty good too. I love this team. This is the top for me, and I think it'll be hard to unseat it.
Yeah. I just think it's hard. It snowballs so well. Spectre and Quaquaval, I mean, both of those together, and they don't share any weaknesses. Like, you try to prep for both and hope that one doesn't snowball on you, because they can take out your whole team.
Can't even control them with Snarls and Intimidates because we got the there.
Right.
Yeah, so,
but like,
Dad,
if you click on
your work cut out for you in week 1 fighting that.
Good luck.
No, it's gonna be easy.
Prove us all wrong. Prove us all wrong.
I will.
So with that in mind, you're now our hero, right? Because you don't have a stupidly broken team, but you do have a good team. And you have a funky.
Debatable.
Team. So who wants to talk about it? Because nobody signed up for this one.
I'll go for it. Daddy, so we see that we've got that Tornadus as your number 1 pick of the draft. One of the most versatile Pokemon that was on the board with that Prankster. Tailwind gets all 4 weathers. Bleak Wind Storm is absolutely amazing. Like, the most spammable move ever on a Mon that has good special attack. Just loves throwing that out there alongside Prankster support. Also has Defiant as a nice mix-up to prevent any Intimidate shenanigans. Potentially, you could run a physical set on it. But I really like how you managed to get an abuser of every weather kind. Whether that's intentional or not, it kind of happened, and I'm here for it. The Beartic and the Overquill love to have that rain mode. Rotom Frost and Beartic could operate in a snow mode. You could even run sand mode with Garchomp, Sandbell, and the Typhlosion obviously loves to get eruption boosts via the sunny day option. So you kind of got something for everything. I think the Gudra Hisui as well is really, really good value on this board at 17. This thing can become unkillable. You get it doesn't have Iron Defense. It has Shelter. that gives you a +2 defense boost. So against physically defensive teams, you can become unkillable with Goodra. It has really, really good stats. And part of Goodra's problem before was a lack of good coverage. And, now it has that steel stab as well, which is really good for it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this team. I will say that, like a lot of the teams we talked about so far, Trick Room option is pretty lacking. You have the Hatterene here, which, is definitely a great Pokemon on its own. And obviously 29 base speed is amazing under Trick Room, but I don't see a scenario where you want to be clicking Trick Room with all these supportive options that love to have that Tornadus fast support. So I'm kind of wondering what Hatterene's place here is, whether you're going to just run it with just max damage, put a life orb on it, and just deal with the fact it's going last, or if you do try to enable it just to be a Trick Room prevention bot with Imprison Trick Room. So I'm interested to see what your ideas were with that, but otherwise, I think it's a cool team.
Definitely cool. For sure. Yeah, and the Hatterene, Jay ran Hatterene with choice specs last season, and it kind of was good. It just...
That seems great.
If you trust that you can live a hit, and it's there in case Trick Room goes up, but it's not dead weight otherwise. That's the idea. I think it might be kind of hard if this team gets Snarl. Do we have any kind of deterrent to Snarl? And the team's
Defiant.
Do we have Defiant? Where do we have it?
What's Defiant?
Yeah,
Tornadus.
Oh, duh.
Oh, that does not count.
Defiant Tornadus.
counts.
Well, you already made waves, Daddy. You said you're going to bring it, but I'll see.
Oh, I'm going to bring it.
Hard to give up the prankster. I think this
Defiant
Tornadus ties the whole
Power
team together in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Does it, or
Tornadus
is it
is
the
such a-
illusion of tying the team together?
It certainly looks like it to me.
Daddy's pulling the mind games right now.
Yeah.
That's
think there's a
the
team-
thing about draft, right? Like you think somebody's going to bring X thing, and then they don't, and then you get Steved on.
Yeah. Well, I will say, the team's ability to win without just Tailwind and go, a lot of that involves the Goodra Hisui, as Sukaba said, a really, really excellent Mon. Very optimistic about this Mon's ability to play defensively, but also just kind of play all the time and always have an option. The Overquill, so we have some premium supports here. Rotom, when it's clicking Eerie Impulse or Will-O-Wisp, is almost always productive, and I love the Beardick here. The Snow or what is it? The rain synergy or the Trick Room option. The Mon is a Swiss Army knife, and the Garchomp is super reliable. So we have a lot of options, and they don't always fit into the same four together.
One thing I really like about this team is the contrast between Goodra and the inevitability that it provides versus some of these other mons. I see lots of games where you can freely lead Tornadus plus Typhlosion or Garchomp. If you lead the Tornadus Typhlosion, you have Frisk, you find out where the items are, you can figure out, can I afford to set Sun, or do I need to go for Tailwind? Both my mons, assuming you run a Cloak, both my mons can't be faked out. I have a free turn to do what I want. If you get the Tailwind up, start shooting off eruptions. If you want to go for Sun, just delete both of them. And after, it's hard to fight Goodra one-on-one or sometimes even 2v1, but if you're starting from a huge disadvantage like that, from just losing a mon and a half or even 2 mons right off the rip with Typhlosion, not to mention Garchomp or anything like that, it really sets up situations where Goodra can just sit there until the end of time on the field and win the game. I like the pairing a lot.
Yeah,
I think it
really
worked
good
really
with
well.
this team that wants to steal 2 KOs and then win with Goodra. Very good at taking 2 KOs.
Yeah.
I think if I have to prep to play against this team, then I don't know what it's going to do, because it actually does have a lot of modes and all of them are kind of nebulous and it's just a bunch of good mons. I think I bring my plan. I think, Daddy, your job is to figure out what my plan is, and you have the tools to stop it, especially with Frisk and with the Tornado Swiss Army knife. I think a lot of this team's execution is going to come down to your ability as a prep and as a coach, because it could just be bring 6, pick 4, dumb mons get rolled by Earthquake, right? But I think if you are ready and you can predict what your opponent's going to do, you're going to have a lot of success.
Really good idea. This team is the best protecting team because it needs to know what the opponent's going to do, so it figures out whether it can win with eruptions or earthquakes or iron defenses. So if you can protect and bait the Terra or bait the plan, that's what makes this team really good. Because otherwise,
And Frisk.
Yeah, and Frisk. Yeah, because otherwise it's just throwing out its plan and hoping that it works. Because I don't know how we counterplay some situations here. So what are the predictions as to how strong this team's going to be?
I think he's going to get someone with Magic Bounce again. Because I
Like
noticed
Hatterene?
he drafted him on with Magic Bounce. Don't think I didn't notice
Never
that. I saw
forget.
that again. You can't
Love
trick
you,
me.
buddy.
I think this is pretty on par with the Bellibolts and the Gengars for me. So it's in like the top of B tier, low A tier at the moment, depending on how it shakes out. But it's definitely great. I think that at certain points you may be committing into modes that, like Kobe said, are just not it for that matchup, and you could run into like a wall. So you're gonna have to plan well around what your opponent is gonna do. I really like that point. So
Yeah, I'm going to be less optimistic than y'all. I think it's going to be hard, but Daddy has shown the ability to run crazy stuff, commit to it, and run people over despite resists.
I think it's going to be easy, honestly. But hey, we'll see.
Just be smart, dude. Just be smart.
Next,
I love it.
Boom, you were planning for this week 1. How's it looking so far?
I'm afraid of this team. Like, just straight up, this team feels really good to me. I like the fire water grass combo he's got. I know they're different speed tiers, but Rillaboom's always solid. Slow King's always a beast. I'm personally like Slowbro more, but I can understand why he made the swap. Probably made a little more sense on his end to kind of shore up a little bit of the defenses there. Tauros Blaze is always good. I like having the fire coverage there. I like its move set. I think it gets Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, it gets Will-O-Wisp, so he's got plenty of coverage there. Grafai, Slay King. I mean, I had them the first season in this gen, and I loved having those two together. So you always got to prep for them two to come. I think it's a little harder to get them to work with all the dark types now, but I mean, definitely worth an option and prep. Raton Mo's always great. Drifblim paired up with Rillaboom to get those fast tailwinds. Love Garg. I mean, for a last pick and around, I mean, he did a great job overall drafting this team. The base stat total is insane, 510. Mm-hmm. I don't think he has anything under. I want to say he doesn't have anything under like 4 or 5 points. Yeah, nothing under 4 points, which I mean, crazy.
Yeah.
And nothing. And Rillaboom is the highest at 18, and he last pick a 17.
Yeah,
just
he saved up and got a Garganackle at the end. Very cool.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that
by
Ben's
the way,
back.
Ben and the Great British Blastoises. Ben was off 2 seasons for us, but is a champion of the league and is a lovely guy. So welcome back.
Ben,
he's a champion.
We love to have you. Ben is a champion. But we love to have Ben back, and I love Ben's drafts because they're always like they make you kind of scratch your head for a second, and then you look at how wide it is. There is not a single Pokemon on this team that is like, yeah, he's probably not going to bring that most weeks. He could bring any of these Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
A Bombardier for 4 points is dumb. We should not have put it that low. It's too good for 4. It should have maybe been like 6 or 7. I don't know.
And
we'll see.
That's always the dilemmas. We wanted people to take all these low tiers, but now you end up with a team with 11 good Pokemon, and that's pretty hard to beat. Pretty hard to beat. At the very least. Yeah.
I am a big fan of what Ben did with this team, and then he got the Slacking late in the draft too to pair with the Grafai, and we know how threatening that combo can be, especially with all the other threats on the team. You have to respect that in prep.
It's so affordable to get a Slacking and a Grafai and barely commit to it at all because it still wins some games. Yeah.
And Grafai functions without that mode too. I mean, he can provide support to a lot of his top threats. I'm expecting the Rillaboom, the Blaze, the Rotom Mow, maybe the Garganackle, obviously, to carry a lot of weight offensively. And the Grafai can really enable that. We didn't really see last season. I don't think we saw a lot of Grafai. We saw a Shroodle put in work. So Grafai is just the big version that can actually run a real item, maybe. And you got that Encore support. It gets Doodle, which is funny, but you're only really using that with Slay King. But I really like it as a supportive piece besides that mode that you also have to be prepared for.
It helps make up for the fact that the team's not naturally that fast. Shroodle does great because people don't respect it. People don't respect Grafai either. Like, you're not committing a lot of your plan to beating Grafai usually. Like, you probably have a Dark Terra, but that's it. Like, Grafai is I think really, really promising at the price we put it at, and also the speed coming from Drifblim. So it's deceptive here. Bohm noted all the good stats and speed's the low one, but we do have a couple of ways to get around the fact that we're not very fast as a team overall.
Drifblim's a great partner. He has 2 Unburden Mons with Grassy Surge. So throw a Grassy Seed on either of those, all of a sudden they're the fastest thing on the field. Drifblim could set a Tailwind, which his team would love to go first. And I think you're right. You're right on the money about the speed tiers being a little deceptive. I think he's a lot faster than this chart would lead you to believe.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I think Grafton is really going to be the MVP of this team. It's such a perfect speed tier without Prankster, where you make your opponent you bring it on lead, right? And you make your opponent think
unburden. Yeah.
And then they also think, okay, well, Slacking's in the back. I'm going to make sure that I don't get myself out of position to get doodled. And then Grafton just super fangs you, and everything on Ben's team can get a 2 KO, right? Yeah. Rillaboom, Tauros, all these mons are just like, they're strong, but they're not like, I'm going to get O-code, I'll be fine, I'm at full health, they can't touch me, and then whoop, whoop, and you're gone. There's a lot of mons that really like Grafton from any angle, from the speed control to the encore support to the just half your health is gone, and now you die in 2 turns to Salt Cure. It's so good.
However,
I miss Ben.
The special attackers are not phenomenal, right? We have Magneton, which is solid. It's a decent Pokemon. Other than that, I mean, Rotom-Mow.
The team does not have special defense. Like, it's Tauros intimidating plus Will-O-Wisping and Will-O-Wisping and Will-O-Wisping, but like the special defense was an issue. So I think it's cool that they picked up Slowking. I think what ultimately stops his team from being in the top tier is like. It's bulky and it's got good overall numbers, but we're not min-maxed as much as I would like. I would like a Dracovish-esque Pokemon, like a one huge button that you gotta respect type mons, and I feel that with some of the redundancy, with 2 electrics, 2 grasses, etc., we could find a way to find just one new dimension that pulls people. That's my concern. So it's gonna end up in the low A tier with me, around Canner, personally.
It's just kind of an unpredictable team. I think that, kind of like Colby was saying about my team, where it's like if I can build around what the opponent is going to bring, it's going to do well. I kind of feel the same way about Ben's team here.
We got one more, or
2 more?
2 more. Okay, who's next? Boom. Who's talking Boom? Daddy, go for it.
Oh yeah, let me consult notes real quick. Okay, so we got Sneasler as the first round. That was a pick. All right, I was a little surprised by that one. I think it can be really good. Okay, so obviously crazy attack stat, unburdened. This is going to be the fastest mon in the format, and you do have a terrain setter, a relatively budget terrain setter, but still a terrain setter. So I think Sneasler is super interesting, and then. Like season 3, I think it was, I drafted Whimsicott and Stakataka 1 and 2, and Sneasler and Cresselia reminds me of that a little bit, because it's like, okay, we can go really fast or we can set Trick Room here. So like super bulky. Cresselia is like the exact opposite of Sneasler. So really interesting first 2 picks there. And then Zoroark Hisui, which is like, I have no idea what to expect from this Pokemon at all. Mostly because I only played Legends Arceus for like 10 minutes. But also its typing is insane, right? I mean, how many immunities? It has 3 immunities and 1 weakness. And I don't know. When I look at this team, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at, if I can just be frank.
It's completely wild, the team. Totally.
It is wild. But then you also have some Pokemon that I absolutely love, like Tauros Wet is obviously super strong, right? Very consistent, 2-hit KOing a lot of things, intimidates nice, great typing, good move pool. And then I think you have some of those niche Pokemon that are really good too, like Colossal can come in clutch, right? I mean, you might be able to get off an Aqua Jet into it and Terra it so it doesn't take 79% of its health. So I think this team is really interesting. It's one of those ones that's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. So what do you guys think?
What is Cresselia doing here?
Whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Usually what it does.
Hopefully not being prepped for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna ignore the Cresselia.
Well, honestly, it does. It's like a lot of these teams, I kind of just want to brute force my way through the Sneasler and the Morgrem and stuff like that. But like, you can't brute force your way through a Cresselia. You need to have a concerted plan, so that could work. Ultimately, so I'm gonna enjoy clicking. Like, I'm gonna insta-click every replay of this team I see. But ultimately, personally, this is gonna end up with a lower rating for me, and that's encapsulated with the saying, "Too much sauce, not enough meat." We have so many options, but fundamentally the numbers don't keep up. Like, Morgrim and Sneasler and Zoroark having 15 different moves doesn't help when you got to pick 4 of them. And I wish we could have picked some of the saucy pieces and then a couple of just boring, predictable, strong attackers. And I just don't see enough of those. I really do like the Tauros. I think that might be a linchpin of the team. But like, there's a lot of situations in which the Mons crumple, like Espeon to crunches and Colossal to water moves. And it's like, if the team is so unpredictable that everybody ends up without answers to the bring of the week, then the team will be good. But if people just play predictably and just outpace this team, I think the no amount of options will save you from the fact that some of these mons are kind of squishy.
Morgrim helps.
It's also a very physically heavy team. I know you have the Espeon at 130 and the Rotom Fan at 105, but those are... and the Zoroark, I guess. So maybe not quite as bad as I initially thought, but I feel like the Espeon and the Fan being your second and third best special attackers isn't the greatest, because those are mons that, have a lot of weaknesses, obviously. The Espeon being pure psychic type is not the best, and I'm an Espeon believer, but I think you're going to encounter some issues with the fact that a lot of your major threats like to be physical, like the Domphinn, the Tauros, the Sneasler are going to be probably coming a lot, and if opponents have a lot of Intimidate or Reflect, you may run into some issues. But actually, now that I'm talking about it, the fact that you have the Zoroark and the Espeon, maybe you can get around it.
I think I in a similar vein, I think this team will have a hard time with a especially defensive dark type. Espeon and Zoroark really can't get through that at all. A physically defensive dark type with Assault Vest, because Sneasler obviously and Tauros have put in work against that. But if those two are gone, which it's not the hardest, it's definitely easy to remove Sneasler, Tauros.
Intimidate.
A bit less.
Either of them.
Right. Intimidate them. You want to bring a thick dark type, and this team has a pretty difficult time getting through it, because Morgrim, I love Morgrim, I love the Holgren Snarl line, but Morgrim doesn't put out the damage that his daddy does. He doesn't have the good move pool. And that was the other thing I was going to say, I almost forgot that. The special threats, the base power on the moves is pretty unfortunately low. I used to be a Rotom Fan believer, now I'm Rotom Fan's biggest hater. That thing gets no moves that do any type of damage. But, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. I had a really specially leaning team last season. You have a physical one. Sneasler is an awful threat to prep him against, because, you may be able to get it in 2 hits after the sash, but if you fall asleep, then you're kind of fucked. And there's nothing you can do about it when it sleeps your other partners, so...
Who feels more optimistic than probably the rest of us about this, or probably the most about the team, and where are you putting it? Because I'm gonna be rude and put it in C tier, but I'm just the screen on here. Who else?
I think like it. I'm gonna put it in C tier as well. I have Colby's team there also.
We're looking for the counterpoint, not the same point.
I think that it's a team with a lot of upside. I think that similarly to Ben's, this team is very wide. There's nothing on this team that you look at and you're like, that's a mon that's not coming. Anything could come. So it's a team that definitely could surprise us. I think that a lot of these teams, people look at them and some people think they're great and some people think they're not, and there's something that we're missing. Like, there's some things that I didn't tell you. I'm sure there's a lot of things that Bohm didn't tell us too, right?
This is also the kind of team that defies 5-minute analyses, so I look forward to see what you do with it, Bohm. Welcome back, Sora and the Dover Dhelmise. They have an Ursaluna. They have a broken bear. And
they have the coolest Hisui
mon. Sukaba was going to talk about this team because you also share a broken bear.
Yeah, so we were exchanging some early draft thoughts after we both picked Ursaluna, and I think his top end of his draft, what he ended up with, is actually really, really good for enabling Ursa. So obviously, there doesn't really need to be much said about Ursaluna other than the fact that it's absolutely cracked. The fact that you get a guts boosted stab Facade with 140 base attack, that Facade can actually OHKO a lot of the format. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Like even on ladder, you're running Ursaluna, you have the guts, you can get an Iron Hands down to 7% with a facade. Like it's actually insane. But he followed it up with really good support options for the Ursa. And I think when you're gonna take a Pokemon like that, it's really important that you try to enable it as much as possible. So the Sableye is a great partner, and he said it in his video. It gives the screen support that you're looking for with an already ridiculously bulky Pokemon that can be even bulkier behind screens. Doesn't need the Trick Room, but also he has Priority Quash, which can allow Ursaluna to go before a major threat. He has Will-O-Wisp priority that can self-burn, so you could run a different item on Ursaluna. You can get an Assault Vest on there, you know, a berry, more defensive item as well, and still get the benefits of the guts. He also went with the Zapdos, which is a really good Disc-Quake partner. And, you know, Ursaluna does not need Trick Room to be a threat. It has 50 base speed. You can run it on a Tailwind team. You could run it on a screen team. You can run it on it fits anywhere because you can't OHKO it. It doesn't even matter what move you have. The defenses are too good to pass up. So I think Zapdos is a great partner. And Uxie has some hidden heat as well. It's Cresselia at home. He said it himself, right? Yeah. And I really love the Bisharp pickup as well, because one of the major ways you deal with an Ursaluna is by bringing your Intimidator to lower that attack stat, because you're not often running a clear amulet on Ursaluna. So Bisharp will really do a great job of deferring that. So I definitely like the top end of this draft. Some of the later picks I'm not quite as high on. He's got a couple low tiers that probably won't be coming a lot. So I think this ended up being a little top heavy, but the top is really, really good.
I think this is top heavy in the best way possible. If you want to pair a low tier mon with Ursaluna, Shellos is a pretty good bet.
Absolutely.
You got all the water redirection, scare them away. And another thing I just want to say, I love this team. This is a team close to my heart. Just everything on it is amazing. Ursaluna, incredible. Sableye, best support basically ever. And one thing that I do want to say, our Boliva, I do think it actually has some more synergy with Ursaluna than we might think, because Ursaluna also has ground type close combat, which is just bananas. Like, I don't know why that one needed that move. So you get around the seed sowing, you can still get the residual heal to cancel out your burn, because a lot of your opponents, like you said, it's hard to take down Ursaluna. That thing is beefy.
Really good summary, Sukaba. You've made me more excited about the team. I had a couple of concerns with it. I went unnecessarily hard on Colby because I knew he could take it. But here's one. but what it does is when you call out the weak points in public, then Colby's now already addressing them in week one, and then they make them not weaknesses anymore. So here's the thing: Sableye single-handedly attracts Terra Dark, right? To be anti-prankster. This team does not do well. The whole team does not do well against Terra Dark. There's no fairy type. There's no fighting type. Bisharp resists. Like, I don't know what the team's supposed to do in that regard. It's just a hole in the team, and so maybe we drop some of the low tiers and find just a close combat, just like
there's not even a bug.
To a stick can deal.
I'll trade you Meditite.
You know what it is? You pick Spide Ups for 1 point. Drop me out, get Spide Ups, you get your first impression, you get
counts.
Stop.
I'm high on Spide Ups, dude.
What about Charizard though? Charizard needs Sun, really,
right?
Sunny Day.
Right. Yeah,
he's got Sun.
But like without Sun, it's pretty useless, right?
No, it's fine.
I used Charizard in a season that had no Dynamax, and keep in mind this was Gen 8, but I had Prankster Sunny Day to go with it, and it did not feel great. I don't know if it was just my team comp, but it feels like you're committing a lot to getting a really powerful fire attack off, and then it kind of just like either dies, and then you wasted a turn setting up Sunny Day, and then like it does feel kind of awkward, this Charizard, I will say. But I mean, he mentioned in his video that he got sniped on a couple key fire types, and I do think it's important to the team that he has one. So I think
what fire type makes this team?
Yeah.
I think that this team has a lot of trouble with speed. Like, Sableye is really cool. It does prankster things, but you really have to get the Zapdos to click on Tailwind or the Charizard to click on Tailwind. But like, what other speed control really is there? Oh, the Squawk ability. He can click Tailwind. But
yeah, you're right.
That's the one move it can't miss.
And yeah, and that's fair, actually. And, you know, you have this Ursaluna, Arboliva, Shellos, which it's actually a pretty good Trick Room mode just with those three alone. And you have one setter for the Ursaluna, which scares me a little bit, because if you could find a way to stop the Uxie from clicking Trick Room, whether it be an Imprison, you know, Uxie does not deal with an Imprison.
You would have to click on double Imprison for that to work, because Ursaluna is going to kill one of them. Who's going to click on double Imprison turn one?
Yeah. Fair.
Turn one, Ursaluna.
I know a guy.
Still, you can't run.
And you can prankster taunt. I think there are some
you could
ways,
taunt it. Yeah, you you could stop the Trick Room. So I would have liked to see one other setter maybe. But I mean, like Poppin said, this is a good top heavy team, I think. And maybe Jordan's suggestion is good that if you drop some of these lower tiers and get a nice fighting type, that could really round out that top heavy core.
Yeah, so I think the team, getting to the positives that Tsukabo started with, the team is really good at playing bulky. It's good under Trick Room, and it might not always be able to set it, but it can play bulky without, I think, the typing issues, not just Dark, but lack of Fairy Resist, fighting being an issue, all the red. You can see the red. I think that's what stops it, the fact that there's going to be some common buttons that make it so it's hard to catch anyone by surprise. Like Samurott, nobody's gonna prep for the Samurott, but they're gonna have an electric move anyway, and so that's what makes it hard.
Samurot's a good mon.
On the Samurott train.
So
that kind of had to be though.
Here for me, it's in the low end of B tier.
Yeah, I have it in B.
I have it in B as well.
I think I'm sitting right there with you.
Where do I have it?
All right, we did it. Thanks for watching. We're gonna do another division that'll be out in a day or two from this probably, but say farewell, everybody.
Bye, I love you.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for having us. Bye.